This is Crystal Swirls Reloaded. The name of this video is, are mammies really jealous of swirlers? If you want to know the answer to that question from me, my answer is a big fat hell yeah, they're jealous.
And I don't understand why they are so obvious about it. That's what I just don't get about it. Why would you let people know that you're jealous? Because when someone's jealous of what you got, that means what you got is better than what they have. What if you never really thought of if preferring black men was the lesser stick or the better side of the stick? What if you never cared, Like, I personally don't care. I just care about my own personal preference. But when they insert themselves, it's like, oh, I guess it sucks to be you, eh?
Swirlers are winning. Now, please excuse me because I am pigging out on my breakfast, which happens to consist of grapefruit, which is my favorite new food. It's so delicious. Anyway. Let me tell you why they're jealous. Because swirlers are obviously winning. Every time you turn around, these mammies, these Tyrone lovers, they're taking L's. Look at what happened to Layla Rashawn, who, by the way, everybody thought she would head for the hills and take that nigga to the cleaners, and she didn't. She took him back. Struggle love, edit.
And that's my thing, how I feel about that is, it's like, I think the major reason they're desperate and put up with so much is because they only pick from 13% of the population. Just add another burden to your dating life, your relationship life, your marriage life, and the idea that you're only going to pick from men that are 13% of the population. That's kind of a mess with your options, and you're going to be really reluctant to start over and look for another man within 1 out of 8 men that you can choose from, because you can't choose from anyone outside of the 13% because you are supposedly race loyal. Anyway, that's, I think, why they have desperation and why there are problems sometimes regarding this issue. Anyway, continue.
They keep taking out these men, Tyrone lovers, these black women who are black husbands, both in Hollywood and in Blackistan. They take L's constantly. And meanwhile, black women like Eve, the former rapper Eve, well, she still raps. She's coming out with a new album. Eve, Serena Williams, they stay winning. Why? Why do mammies want us to remain race loyal? Have you ever stopped to think about that? Like, considering all of the things that's going on in Blackistan, all of the dysfunction, the ills, like sexual molestation, murder, high domestic violence rates, incarceration and unemployment rates, and lack of availability to find a decent life mate. Taking all of that into consideration, why would they not want to see black women hop the fence and leave more Tyrones for them to choose from? Makes sense.
Well, the main reason I think is value, because I think certain people feel like black men are less valuable. No matter how much they claim they think they're more valuable, they always show how they think they're less valuable. And that's what angers them when it comes to women who choose other races of men, because they feel like their choice is inferior. And so you could see this with all women who choose black men. And I think it's really terrible for black men, because thinking of it, why would you want to date someone, have a relationship with someone, marry someone who thinks you're an inferior man? You know, that's gotta suck for them, and that can't be too good for them. I'm just saying. But more than that, it's just like, you know, that's why they have such vitriol towards other women who don't have that preference, because they feel bad about their own interests. They feel bad because they feel like they're the inferior woman who's attracted to black men, and therefore they're subjugated to the dysfunction in their lifestyles. Now, I think that with the dysfunction, that it's not particularly having to do with a race. I think it has to do with, like I said, the numbers. If you only have 13%, you know, when you are sifting through who's the right one, you're sifting through a lot of different factors that might make someone not the one. Well, if you only have 13% that could possibly be mates for you, lifetime partners for you, then you're going to try to be more forgiving of so much. And when that happens, you're going to have a lot of dysfunction, because you're not looking for the perfect partner for you. So that's how I see that.
Isn't that the logical way of thinking? Well, we're not dealing with logical creatures.
They're not.
You see, mammies, in my opinion,
they're not logical, mainly because I think most of them are attracted to men outside of their race, just like everybody else. But instead of acting on it, they choose to stay within their race. And I think that is illogical in itself, because the majority of their options, and the majority of men, are non-black. So choosing within your race in that situation, in a situation where culturally black Americans aren't any different from white Americans, that kind of, you know, is a situation where these people are not making the logical decision for their lives. They're going off of something else, a principle or a standard or an idea that they have to stay between these lines of dating within their race to please others, but they're not concerned with pleasing themselves, or who, you know, would actually be the viable partner for them.
Are very jealous of swirlers.
Extremely.
Let that sink in for a minute while I take a bite of my grapefruit. Now, they see what's going on. They know that if you're swirling, 9 out of 10 times you're getting treated better. Okay? You are getting better treatment from your man. Maybe he's paying your bills. Maybe he takes you on trips. Maybe he respects you and talks to you with respect. And he adores you and looks at you in a way that Tyrone doesn't look at his mammy. Because
yeah, and you can see this. Black men often would just give mammies basically a pat on the head, but they don't actually appreciate them. What do they do for them? Nothing. I mean, mammies do more for black men than black men do for mammies. And you could just see this so visibly in so many different situations. But like I said, I think mammies don't realize it because they have such a low self-esteem that they don't even realize that they don't even capitalize off of being mammies. And this is why you get disgruntled mammies who want to capitalize off of being mammies, basically. And some people won't realize those are still mammies. They're both mammies, disgruntled or happy mammies. But yeah.
Black love familiarity breeds contempt. Familiarity breeds contempt because they're used to you. They take you for granted. Tyrone says, "Oh, it's just you." Tyrone is a self-hater, and he projects that self-hatred onto your femininity.
And the thing is with that is, honestly, I think they have so much self-hate, mammies do, that they don't even realize that black men project self-hate on them, because they're too busy trying to please the black man that they don't realize when they're self-hating them, or basically putting hate onto them. They just think about how to please a black man. They don't think about what their own personal interests is. They don't think about loving themselves, They don't talk about really loving themselves. They care about more so loving black men more than themselves, I think, honestly. And that is another result of, low self-esteem with mammies.
White and non-black men don't do that. They're fascinated by you. They're grateful that you are even dealing with them because so many black women are mammies. Thank you for being a mammy. If you're watching this, you are making my swirl life a lot easier.
And yeah, there's a point to that, I would say, because if you think of it, like I said before, there's plenty of mammies who, like I said, don't really want black men, I think. And that's why they have that bitterness and anger, because they feel like they're stuck with them. There's plenty of black men who do the same thing. When it comes to black people, many black men and black women date each other and have relationships and marriage with each other, but they may not even prefer each other. They may be more attracted to people outside of their race. Yeah, who wants to be in a long-term relationship with with a person who doesn't actually want them, who doesn't really prefer them, and they're just doing it for performative reasons? That's, I think, the main problem here. And that's why a lot of the time, some of these people will find that, you don't have that problem with other races, because if they don't like you, they just don't deal with you. It's very simple and easy, but it's not that simple and easy with black people. And because it's not, because that's kind of like, for some black people, they think of it as an automatic thing, basically, where like they think that's what they're supposed to do, is go with someone who is black. Somehow they were taught that in their families. So they're not actually going off of what they're naturally into, as opposed to people outside of the race. Like, if they don't want black people, they don't choose black people, Like, what I'm trying to say is, these black people think they have to choose black men and black women. When you think you have to choose something, you don't have a choice.